less sense.
But it's not so much that it makes less sense. It just means that there is a period in Pink's life that isn't indicated. I mean, he jumps from the recap of side one immediately into Young Lust.
Right. No, he doesn't. He goes to Empty Spaces. And the lyrics there are very similar to the first 4 lines of What Should We Do Now?
Mm.
But what's different really is this list: shall we buy a new guitar, drive a more powerful car, work right through the night, you know, and all that stuff.
Give up meat, rarely sleep, keep people as pets.
Right. It's just about the ways that one protects oneself from one's isolation by becoming obsessed with other people's ideas. Whether the idea is that it's good to have a powerful car, you know, that'll make you, or whether you're obsessed with the idea of being a vegetarian, adopting somebody else's criteria for yourself without considering them from a position of being yourself. On this level, the story is extremely simplistic. I hope that on other levels there are, you know, less tangible, more effective things that come through.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's okay in a show where you only hear the words. Well, we probably won't hear the words at all. The way rock and roll shows get produced.
But they're there on the sleeve if you need them.
Yeah. That's why we didn't go into a great panic about trying to change all the inner bags and things. I think it's important that they're there so that people can read. But equally, I think it's important that people know why they're there. Otherwise, I agree, it's terribly confusing.
And then you come to this track, which is called Young Lust. As far as Pink, the rock and roll star, Roger Waters, the writer, I mean, was there ever a Young Lust section of your life?
Well, yes, I suppose, actually, yes, it did happen to me. That was like me a few years ago. But I would never have said it, you see. I'd never have actually come out with anything like that.
Mm.
I was much too frightened. When I wrote this song, Young Lust, the words were all quite different. It was about leaving school and wandering around town and hanging around outside porno movies and dirty bookshops and things like that. And being very interested in sex but never actually being able to get involved because of being too frightened, really. Now it's completely different. That was a function of us all working together on the record, particularly with Dave Gilmour and Bob Ezrin, who we co-produced it together. The three of us co-produced the album. Young Lust is a pastiche number. It reminds me very much of a song we recorded years and years ago called The Nile Song. It's very similar. Dave sings it in a very similar way. I think he sings Young Lust terrific. I love the vocal on it. But it's meant to be a pastiche of just any young rock and roll band out on the road. I think it's great. I love that operator. I think she's wonderful. She didn't know what was happening at all. The way she picks up on... I mean, it's been edited a bit, but the way she picks up all that stuff about, is there supposed to be anybody else there besides your wife? You know, I think it's amazing. She really clicked into it straight away. She's terrific.
And then comes One of My Turns.
Yeah, so then the idea is that we've leapt somehow a lot of years from Goodbye Blue Sky through What Should We Do Now, which doesn't exist on the record anymore, and Empty Spaces, into Young Lust. That's like a show. We've leapt into a rock and roll show somewhere on into our hero's career. And then One of My Turns is supposed to be his response to a lot of aggravation in his life and not really ever having got anything together with a woman, although he's been married. Well, he has got things together, but he's been married and he's just splitting up with his wife, and in response he takes another girl back to his hotel room.
And he really is... He's got everything but nothing.
Yeah. He's had it now. He's definitely a bit dippy now. And One of My Turns is just, you know, him coming in and he can't relate to this girl either, you know. That's why he just turns on the TV when they come into the room and she starts going on about all the things he's got, and all he does is just turn on the TV and sit there and he won't talk to her.
Then comes a period in Don't Leave Me Now when he realizes the state that he's in.
Yeah.
He still feels, if you like, aggressive and completely depressed, thoroughly paranoid, and very lonely.
Yeah.
But very lonely, to the point of suicide.
Yeah, well, not quite. But yes, it is a very depressing song. I love it. I really like it.
There's this line in the song, "to beat you to a pulp on a Saturday night."
Yeah.
I mean, that's just, I don't know quite know how to phrase that, but it really is the depths, if you like, of deprived depravity.
Well, it's just a lot of men and women do get involved with each other for lots of wrong reasons, and they do get very aggressive towards each other and do each other a lot of damage. I, of course, as far as I can recall, have never struck a woman, Tommy, and I hope I never do, but a lot of people have. And a lot of women have struck men as well. And there is a lot of violence in relationships often that aren't working. I mean, this is obviously an extremely cynical song. I don't feel like that about marriage now.
But you did.
This is one of those difficult things where a small percentage of this is autobiographical, and all of it is rooted in my own experience. But this isn't my autobiography. Although it's rooted within my experience. Like any writing, some of it's me, and an awful lot of it is what I've observed.
But there's also a lot of fundamental truth in it.
Well, I hope so. I mean, that's what, if you look and if you see things, and if they ring true, then those are the kinds of things, if you're interested in writing songs or writing books or writing poems or writing anything, those are the things that you try and write down, because those are the things that are interesting, and those are the things that will touch other people, which is what writing's all about. Is some people have a need to write down their own feelings in the hope that other people will recognise them and derive some worth from them, whether it's a feeling of kinship, or whether it makes them happy or sad or whatever, but that they will derive something from them.
Another Brick in the Wall, Part 3. I don't need no arms around me. He seems to be in a position whereby he's no longer confused. In other words, he's more confident.
Yes.
But then comes the track "Goodbye Cruel World."
Yeah.
Now, what is happening there?
Okay. Well, what's happening is, from the beginning of one of my turns, where the door opens there, through to the end of side 3, the scenario is an American hotel room. The groupie leaves at the end of one of my turns, and then "Don't Leave Me Now" he sings, which is to anybody. It's not to her, it's not really to his wife, it's kind of to anybody, really.
To his circumstances.
Well, it's men, if you like, it's men to women, in a way, from that kind of feeling. It's like, it's a very kind of guilty song as well. Anyway, at the end of that, then there he is in his room with his TV, and then there's that kind of symbolic TV smashing. And then he resurges a bit out of that kind of violence, and he sings this sort of loud song saying, all you are all just bricks in the wall, I don't need anybody. So he's convincing himself, really, that his isolation is a desirable thing. That's all.
But how is he at that moment of time when he says "Goodbye Cruel World" is actually...
That's him going catatonic, if you like. That's the final, he's going back, and he's just curling up, and he's not going to move. That's it, he's had enough, that's the end. In the show, we've worked out a very clever mechanical system so that we can complete the wall, or the middle section of the wall, building downwards, so we get left with a sort of triangular shaped hole that we can fill in bit by bit, rather than filling it in at the top. So we have this enormous wall across the auditorium, and we're filling in this little hole at the bottom. And the last brick goes into the wall as he sings "Goodbye" at the end of "Goodbye." That is the completion of the wall. It's been being built since, in my case, the Second World War, but in anybody else's case, whenever they care to think of it, if they feel isolated or alienated from other people at all, and you can. It's from wherever you want.
So would it be accurate to say that at that moment of time, he's discovered exactly where he's at?
Yeah.
And the wall is complete. In other words, his character, via all the experiences he's had,
Yes.
has finally, in his eyes anyway, been completed.
Yeah. He's nowhere.
He's absolutely nowhere.
Yeah.
And then comes the beginning of side 3, which actually starts with a different song than on the sleeve.
Yeah. Bob Ezrin called me up and he said, I've just listened to side 3 and it doesn't work. And in fact, I think I'd been feeling uncomfortable about it anyway. And I thought about it, and in a couple of minutes I realised that Hey You conceptually could go anywhere, and that it would make a much better side if we put Hey You at the front of the side and sandwiched the little theatrical scene with the guy in the hotel room between an attempt to re-establish contact with the outside world, which is what Hey You is, and the end of the side, which is, well, which we will come to. So that's why those lyrics are printed in the wrong places, because that decision was made very... I should explain at this point, the reason that all these decisions were made so late was because we'd promised lots of people a long time ago that we would finish this record by the beginning of November. And we wanted to keep that promise.
But the guy's now